Listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you is not a casual message, not a soft whisper, not a comforting suggestion. This is a divine announcement. This is a spiritual revelation. This is a wake-up call sent straight to the depths of your soul. God is about to shock everyone with your fortune. And I am not speaking of small blessings, subtle improvements, or ordinary breakthroughs. No, what God has prepared for you is so massive, so undeniable, so impossibly supernatural that the very people who once ignored you, doubted you, disrespected you, or walked past you without a second thought, they will have no choice but to turn around and say, what happened to you? God happened. God intervened. God shifted the season. God opened a door no human being could touch. God released a fortune no earthly system could stop. You are not listening to this by accident. You did not stumble into these words. You were led here. You were guided here. God brought you here because the time for you to rise has arrived. You have cried in silence long enough. You have suffered privately long enough. You have waited patiently while others seem to run ahead of you, succeed before you, celebrate what they gained while you stood praying for something, anything to shift. And God says, I saw every moment. I counted every tear. I witnessed every disappointment. And now the season of compensation is here. God is not merely going to bless you. God is going to shock people with the size of what He places in your hands. You see, when God chooses to elevate someone, He does not do it quietly. He does not do it in secret corners. He does not hide His power. God moves in a way that forces the world to look and acknowledge that something beyond human explanation took place. God loves to take a person who has been overlooked and place them at the center of attention, not for pride, not for ego, but to demonstrate His supreme authority. When God decides that your name is the name He will lift, no enemy, no critic, no jealous heart, no system, no circumstance, and no limitation can stop His decision. And right now, I am telling you with deep spiritual certainty, God has decided something about your life. Something huge, something unstoppable, something irreversible. Your season of being underestimated is over. Your season of small results is over. Your season of lack is over. Your season of being forgotten is over. God is rewriting your entire story, and He is doing it in a way that will shock every single person who ever doubted your potential. Because the truth is this, people see where you are, but only God sees where you are going. People see your current situation, but God sees your destiny. People see the struggle, but God sees the breakthrough that is already coming. People may have judged your life by what you have now, but God is about to reveal what He has prepared for you. And when He does, every wrong opinion, every false assumption, every low expectation will collapse under the weight of God's power. There is a fortune coming to you. Yes, a fortune that will blow your mind. And do not let the word fortune make you think only of money. No, this fortune is much bigger, much deeper, much more meaningful than currency. God's fortune includes influence, peace, restoration, opportunities, divine protection, supernatural openings, holy connections, wisdom, authority, and yes, material provision that aligns with His purpose for your life. God is not limited. God is not restricted. God cannot be blocked. God does not operate according to human logic. When God chooses someone, He lifts them beyond what anyone around them could have imagined. And I want you to prepare yourself, because when God shocks people with your fortune, some will celebrate you, some will be amazed by you, but others will be disturbed by your elevation. Not everyone who claps for you wants you to rise. Not everyone who smiles at you wants you to succeed. Yet none of their hidden motives matter, because God's decision overrides human intention. God's favor destroys human limitations. What God sends cannot be stopped by jealousy, delayed by envy, or canceled by hatred. There were people who thought you were finished, people who concluded your story too early, people who assumed your struggles were permanent, people who believed you would always be behind, always be lacking, always be struggling to catch your breath. But God says, I will show them what I can do with a person who depends entirely on me. God will elevate you in a way that makes every person who doubted your ability reassess their opinions. God will bless you so powerfully that even those who spoke negatively about you will secretly wonder how you rose so suddenly, so sharply, so undeniably. And the answer will be simple: God did it. You cannot explain supernatural fortune with natural logic. You cannot measure God's blessings with human calculations. You cannot compare divine timing with earthly timetables. When God decides to shock people with your fortune, it will not make sense to them. It will not fit their expectations. It will not match their predictions. People will look at your life and say, this should not have been possible. And that is exactly why God will do it. Because God wants the world to see that He can take someone who had nothing and give them more than they ever dreamed. God can take someone who was broken and make them whole. God can take someone who was invisible and make them influential. God can take someone who was struggling and make them a living testimony of His generosity. God is not limited by your background, your education, your status, your failures, or your past. God is only limited by one thing: your willingness to believe. And today, I want you to believe with a boldness you have never felt before. Believe without hesitation. Believe without fear. Believe without shrinking yourself to match human expectations. Believe with the power of a soul that knows who its creator is. Because once you truly believe, the path opens. Once you truly believe, the blessing accelerates. Once you truly believe, the fortune that God prepared begins to manifest. I want you to hear this clearly. God has seen your sacrifice. God has seen your consistency. God has seen your efforts when no one applauded you. God has seen your faith when everything looked hopeless. God has seen your attempts to stay strong when you felt like giving up. God has seen every moment, and not one of those moments was wasted. Every struggle was training. Every delay was preparation. Every setback was alignment. Every challenge was building spiritual muscles you didn't even know you were developing. And now God says, you are ready. You are ready for the new level. You are ready for the new chapter. You are ready for the shocking fortune God has been preparing. You are ready to receive what once seemed impossible. God does not release fortune to an unprepared soul. God releases it when He has strengthened your character, matured your spirit, deepened your patience, and purified your intentions. And that is why your journey took so long. God was shaping you into someone capable of handling the magnitude of the blessing He planned. You see, people think your struggles broke you, but God knows your struggles built you. People think your delays weakened you, but God knows your delays trained you. People think your losses destroyed you, but God knows your losses cleansed your path. You are not rising in spite of what you went through. You are rising because of what you went through. That is why the fortune coming your way is not ordinary. It is not random. It is not coincidental. It is divine. You are stepping into a season where God will surprise even you. You will see opportunities appear out of nowhere. You will see breakthroughs unfold that you could not have orchestrated on your own. You will see doors open that no one expected you to walk through. You will see connections form that propel you forward. You will see resources flow to you in ways that make you stand still in awe. God is not just sending a blessing. God is sending a transformation. And hear me, when God shocks everyone with your fortune, do not shrink yourself. Do not apologize for the blessing. Do not feel guilty for the elevation. Do not dim your light to make others comfortable. You paid a price for this blessing. You endured storms for this blessing. You cried for this blessing. You waited while others ran ahead. You trusted when others gave up. You walked through seasons that would have broken weaker souls. You suffered silently while keeping your heart connected to God. You stayed faithful when you had every reason to quit. You earned this season, not earned in the sense of human merit, but earned in the sense of spiritual readiness. God rewards the faithful. God lifts the consistent. God honors the disciplined. God protects the humble. And now God elevates the chosen. Everything that is coming to you is coming because you were chosen for it. You were chosen for this rise. You were chosen for this position. You were chosen for this influence. You were chosen for this fortune. And because God chose you, nothing can stop you. Not the environment, not the economy, not the opinions of others, not your past mistakes, not your fears, not your insecurities, not your self-doubt. God's choice overrides every limitation. God has already spoken your name into rooms you have never entered. God has already prepared opportunities you have not yet seen. God has already aligned people who will help you without even understanding why. God has already set your elevation in motion. The fortune coming is not a possibility, it is a certainty. And when it arrives, the same people who doubted you will come looking for your secret. They will ask, how did you do it? And your answer will be simple, I didn't, God did. God is going to shock them because they thought you were ordinary. They thought you were forgettable. They thought you had no potential. They thought your silence was weakness. They thought your patience was passivity. They thought your humility meant you had naught to offer. But God was watching all along. And God saw a soul He could trust. And when God sees someone He can trust, He puts something in their hands that cannot be stolen, cannot be destroyed, and cannot be blocked. Prepare yourself, because God is about to pour a fortune into your life that will change not only your situation, but your identity. You will not think the way you used to think. You will not speak the way you used to speak. You will not walk the way you used to walk. You will carry the weight of divine blessing. You will walk with the confidence of someone backed by heaven. You will move with the authority of someone who knows God is guiding every step. When God prepares to shock everyone with your fortune, He does not simply increase what you have. He transforms who you are. God elevates you internally before He elevates you externally. God strengthens your spirit before He expands your territory. God matures your discernment before He multiplies your resources. Because once the blessing comes, you cannot afford to carry an immature mindset into a divine environment. And so God has been working within you, quietly, deeply, invisibly, teaching you lessons that were not meant to break you, but to shape you into a vessel capable of carrying greatness without losing humility, confidence without losing restraint, and abundance without losing gratitude. Nothing you learned in the dark season was wasted. Every challenge was prophetic training. Every test was spiritual preparation. Every confusion was a holy restructuring of your inner foundation. So when God shocks the world with your fortune, you will wear the blessing with wisdom, not arrogance, with discipline, not recklessness, with clarity, not confusion. You must understand that the fortune God is preparing for you is not meant to impress people. It is meant to fulfill purpose. God does not bless sight and ply to display power. God blesses to realign destiny. You are being shifted into a position where your presence will carry weight, where your voice will influence decisions, where your actions will reshape the environments you enter. God is expanding the territory of your influence because He trusts the purity of your intentions. There are some blessings God does not hand out freely. He only gives them to those whose hearts have been refined enough to steward them without corruption. God saw how you handled small opportunities, how you responded to small responsibilities, how you remained faithful even when the rewards were invisible. God tested your motives. God tested your resistance to temptation. God tested your commitment to righteousness. And now that you have passed tests you did not even realize were tests, God is getting ready to reveal what He has been preparing behind the scenes. People often assume that fortune comes through effort alone. But when God is the source, the blessing does not follow the rhythm of human effort. It follows the rhythm of divine alignment. There are doors you will not have to knock on because God will open them before you arrive. There are opportunities you will not have to chase because they will be drawn to your name. There are resources you will not have to beg for because they have already been assigned to your destiny. God is going to orchestrate divine coincidences, moments that appear random to the world, but were carefully designed by God to position you exactly where you need to be. You will find yourself in conversations you never planned, rooms you never expected, relationships you never predicted, all because God is guiding you step by step into the place where your fortune will manifest. And let me tell you this, when God lifts you, He does it in such a way that no one can claim credit. God moves in a manner that silences every doubter, confuses every enemy, and humbles every critic. People will witness your elevation and say, "This cannot be human effort." And they will be right, because you will rise in a way that contradicts logic, accelerates timelines, and surpasses expectations. God will place you in positions that others spend years trying to reach. God will give you breakthroughs that others assume were out of your reach. God will open doors that others tried to close. God will send help from sources you did not expect. God will reveal gifts within you that you did not even know you possess. And all of it will be a reminder that when God says it is your time, no power in the universe can argue with His decision. What you are stepping into is not luck, it is divine compensation. God is not simply giving you a blessing. God is repaying you for everything you endured, everything you lost, everything you sacrificed, everything you suffered while staying faithful. God is a flawless accountant. God remembers every moment when you held on despite pain, when you trusted despite uncertainty, when you kept going despite exhaustion. God does not ignore endurance, God rewards it. And the reward He is sending will not look like the pain you endured. It will not mirror the suffering you walked through. It will not resemble the nights you cried or the days you struggled. No, God's reward will overshadow the pain so completely that it will erase every trace of what you went through. You will look back and realize that the suffering was not the end. It was the soil in which God planted something extraordinary. And understand this clearly, when your fortune arrives, it will not be fragile. It will not be temporary. It will not be uncertain. What God gives, He protects. What God builds, He strengthens. What God establishes, He secures. No one will be able to sabotage what God places in your hands. No one will be able to interrupt the flow God releases into your life. No one will be able to block the doors God opens for you. People may try, but their attempts will fail before they even begin. Because the blessing coming to you will be fortified by divine authority. God will stand around your elevation like a shield, like a fortress, like a barrier. No negativity, jealousy, or evil intention can penetrate. Some of the people who left you were not betrayers, they were barriers. God removed them because they would have contaminated your blessing. God separated you from certain environments because those environments could not handle the magnitude of what He is preparing. God took you through isolation, not to punish you, but to protect you. Loneliness was not abandonment, it was insulation. God was keeping you away from people who would have infected your mindset with doubt, fear, or distraction. God needed your spirit clean. God needed your mind focused. God needed your vision pure. God needed your heart guarded. And now you will look back and understand that everyone who walked away was part of God's divine subtraction so that the blessing could be added without interference. And now God is surrounding you with people who align with your elevation. You will meet individuals who speak life into your dreams, who support your growth, who celebrate your potential, who uplift your spirit. You are stepping into a season where God will connect you with those who understand your purpose and honor your calling. You will experience support that feels like oxygen. You will encounter relationships that amplify your strength. You will attract people who are not intimidated by your rise, but inspired by it. This is all part of the fortune God is preparing, because fortune is not only about what you receive, it is also about who accompanies you in the next chapter of your life. And while others will be shocked by your rise, the most transformative shock will be within you. You will shock yourself. You will surprise yourself. You will look at your own life and say, I never knew God had all this prepared for me. Because the truth is, you have only seen a fraction of your own potential. You have only witnessed a glimpse of your own power. You have only touched the edges of what you are capable of. But God is about to reveal the full version of yourself, the version you were always meant to become. The version that walks with confidence, thinks with clarity, acts with purpose, and lives with peace. This version of you will not apologize for being blessed, for being strong, for being favored, for being chosen. And when you speak, your words will carry a new authority. When you move, your steps will carry a new direction. When you make decisions, they will carry a new certainty. God is giving you wisdom that cannot be manipulated, strength that cannot be exhausted, and insight that cannot be deceived. The blessing is not coming to overwhelm you, it is coming to empower you. God is not sending fortune to complicate your life. God is sending fortune to elevate your life, to free you from limitations, to remove financial burdens, to expand your influence, and to position you for assignments you could not step into without this next level of provision. When God prepares to shock the world with your fortune, He does not simply change your circumstances, He changes the atmosphere around your life. God begins to shift the spiritual climate, the unseen realm that influences everything you touch. You start to notice that what used to drain you no longer affects you. What used to intimidate you no longer frightens you. What used to distract you no longer tempts you. This is not coincidence. This is spiritual preparation. God is clearing the air rim, oving invisible resistance, and placing a divine covering over your path so that when your fortune arrives, it enters a space cleansed of every negative attachment. You will feel a new clarity, a new weight to your steps, a new sharpness to your intuition. God is not only preparing the blessing, God is preparing the environment to welcome the blessing. Because when God releases something extraordinary, it must land on stable ground. And that is why God has been strengthening your spirit quietly, steadily, intentionally. God has increased your discernment so you can recognize what was once disguised. God has sharpened your awareness so you can perceive opportunities others overlook. God has deepened your intuition so you can sense when something is not aligned with your destiny. What you are feeling now, the heightened sensitivity, the deeper reflections, the sudden moments of wisdom is not random. It is the mark of someone whose spirit is expanding to match the magnitude of the blessing coming their way. God never pours greatness into an unprepared vessel. God expands the vessel first, then releases the greatness. You are entering a season where your thoughts will move differently, where your decisions will carry a new authority, where your emotional responses will no longer be triggered by the same things that once disrupted your peace. God has healed wounds you didn't speak about. God has removed burdens you didn't have words for. God has ended cycles you didn't know how to break. That healing was essential because God cannot elevate a heart that is still chained to yesterday. God needed to free you internally so He could release abundance externally. Now your spirit is untangled, your heart is lighter, your mind is clearer. You are beginning to feel the shift even before the fortune manifests because your soul is already stepping into the new season. And when He prepares to shock people with your rise, He often slows down everything in your life first. The quiet you felt, the delays you experienced, the moments where nothing seemed to move, those were not signs of abandonment, they were signs of divine calibration. God pauses your life to align it. God slows your pace to strengthen your foundation. God silences your environment so you can hear Him more clearly. The stillness was never emptiness, it was preparation disguised as silence. And now the same silence that once confused you will become the birthplace of your breakthrough. God does His greatest work in stillness, and what He built in secret, He will reveal in power. People around you may not understand the transformation you are experiencing. They may think you're becoming distant, detached, withdrawn. But the truth is, God has separated your spirit from unnecessary noise. You are not detaching from people. You are attaching to purpose. You are not losing interest in old conversations. You are growing into new responsibilities. You're not becoming quiet. You're becoming focused. God is tightening your circle and refining your connections so that nothing drains the strength you need for the next level. Some people were meant to walk with you only for a season, not for a lifetime. And God knew that if they entered your next chapter, they would sabotage the blessing. So God intervened, God removed, God rearranged, God protected. And now that God has cleared the path, you will see something you have not seen in a very long time: momentum. You will feel your life gaining a speed that shocks even you. Opportunities will appear in quick succession. Doors will open without delay. Resources will flow consistently. Relationships will align naturally. Ideas will come rapidly. You will wake up with energy you cannot explain. Because when God shifts your season, acceleration comes your new reality. What took years before will take months now. What took months will take weeks. What took weeks will take days. God is collapsing timelines in your favor because the blessing is time sensitive. The rise must happen now, not later. The world needs what you carry, and God will not allow anything to slow your ascension. And let me tell you something powerful: the fortune God is giving you is not only for you, it is for generations after you. God is breaking generational barriers and planting generational abundance. The struggles that ran through your family will stop with you. The financial pressures, the emotional burdens, the spiritual battles, the cycles of limitation, they end here. Because when God blesses someone, the blessing does not stop at their hands. It flows through them like a river that nourishes everything it touches. God is about to make you the starting point of a new lineage, one defined by stability, strength, wisdom, and divine protection. You will be the one future generations look back to and say, this is where everything changed. And do not be surprised when God gives you ideas that feel too big for your current reality. Visions that stretch you, dreams that scare you, plans that seem beyond your experience. That is because God is pulling you into a future that does not look like your past. God is showing you glimpses of the life He has prepared. And those glimpses are meant to push you out of small thinking, limited expectations, and restricted imagination. The ideas are not random, they are divine invitations. God plants visions in your spirit before He places the blessings in your hands. And if you feel overwhelmed by the magnitude of what God is showing you, that is the evidence that it came from God, not from you. When people see the fortune God releases over your life, they will assume it came suddenly. They will assume, it appeared overnight. They will think you just got lucky or found an opportunity or met the right person. But they will never understand the spiritual journey behind the elevation. They will not understand the nights you stayed awake pleading for strength. They will not understand the battles you fought silently. They will not understand the sacrifices you made in secret. They will not understand the pain you pressed through. God hid your struggle because He is about to reveal your glory. The blessing will be public, but the price you paid was private. And that is why the blessing will carry weight when it manifests. And hear this clearly, God is not increasing you so you can prove anything to anyone. You do not need to convince people of your worth. You do not need to justify your rise. You do not need to explain your blessing. God's approval is enough. God's timing is enough. God's decision is enough. When God lifts someone, explanation becomes unnecessary. Those who understand will celebrate. Those who don't understand will be silenced by the evidence of God's power. Your elevation will speak louder than any argument, any defense, any explanation. Your life will become the message. The new chapter you are entering will require courage. Courage to walk away from old patterns. Courage to embrace new responsibilities. Courage to trust God even when the path feels unfamiliar. But this is the courage that is born not from pride but from faith. Faith that God has already gone ahead of you. Faith that God has already secured what you need. Faith that God has already prepared the people, the opportunities, and the resources. Faith that God is leading your every step. And once you walk with that kind of courage, fear loses its power. Doubt loses its voice. The unknown loses its threat. Because you realize that the future is not something to fear. It is something God has already designed. And now you must prepare. Not out of anxiety, but out of expectancy. Prepare your mind for increase. Prepare your heart for abundance. Prepare your spirit for responsibility. Prepare your emotions for elevation. God is not giving you something fragile. He is giving you something firm, something sustainable, something holy, something meaningful, something that will outlive you. You will not rise and fall. You will rise and continue rising because the foundation is God Himself. Your story is about to carry weight. Your name is about to carry authority. Your presence is about to carry influence. And none of this is accidental. It is divine orchestration. God is not giving you a blessing. God is revealing a destiny. God is not lifting you slightly. God is thrusting you into a level that will transform everything connected to you. And when it happens, you will know with absolute certainty that this was never your doing. This was God's design from the beginning. The world is about to witness a version of you that only God could create. The fortune is coming, the elevation is coming, the transformation is coming, and nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop what God has decided for you. And now, as we come to the end of this message, hear this final truth with the full weight of your spirit. God is not a distant observer in your story. He is the author who writes with intention, precision, and purpose. Nothing you have faced, nothing you have lost, and nothing you are praying for has escaped His sight. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not standing in life by accident. You are being shaped, positioned, and elevated by a God who never acts without meaning. When God prepares to deliver a breakthrough, He often begins with a whisper, an instruction, a sign, a prompting, a spiritual nudge. And when you feel that stirring, understand this: God is aligning people, doors, opportunities, and divine connections to reach you at the exact moment you need them. Someone will call you. Someone will send a message. Someone will be moved to speak a word into your life, not because they planned it, but because God touched their heart to do it. He uses human voices to deliver heavenly direction. So lift your head, strengthen your faith, walk with the confidence of someone who knows that God Himself is orchestrating every step of your journey. Even in silence, He is speaking. Even in stillness, He is moving. Even in uncertainty, He is guiding you toward clarity. Let this settle deep within you. God does not tease His servants. When He signals movement, transformation always follows. When He stirs your spirit, change is already in motion. When He gives you a sign, the blessing is already on its way. When He inspires someone to reach out to you, it is because a divine revelation is waiting for you on the other side of that conversation. As you leave this message, step forward with conviction. Expect direction, expect clarity, expect the voice of God to find you, whether through a call, a word, a moment of stillness, or an unexpected messenger. Because when God decides to speak, nothing in heaven or on earth can stop His message from reaching the one He has chosen. May your heart stay open. May your spirit stay receptive. May your steps stay aligned with the one who guides all things. God is preparing to speak to you. Be ready to receive what He has been waiting to reveal.